Hi all, this is Dr. Sage Breslin and this is Wisdom Wednesdays, my special series on my journey with cancer, video number 71. So last week I posted two videos, one about the launch of some upcoming services that I am offering, and the second about my health. So this week I thought I'd follow up on a little breadcrumb trail I left for you last week about my lab tests. And I thought I would just share with you what I was hoping for. And many of you know in my journey with multiple myeloma that because I have relapsing and remitting myeloma, it just doesn't respond the same way as a more classical version of multiple myeloma. It means that I have not reached any sort of remission, even following the bone marrow transplant. But I went and did big emotional and psychic and spiritual work in Ireland in August. And I really knew that I would see a difference. And when I returned, my M spike, which is a way to track how much cancer is in the blood, it's kind of a simple way of looking at it, was the lowest it had been in 5 years. And it was exciting, but I noticed that I was really hesitant to jump into the excitement. And so I was waiting for the next lab test, which was last week. And I was really hoping that I would see even lower numbers. So what I saw was a number that was just a little bit higher than what I had seen the previous month, which, emotionally, I was a bit disappointed. But it is nearly holding my own. It's nearly kind of a maintenance of that M spike level. And so I have chosen to really embrace that and appreciate that it is a lot different, even than what my numbers were like after doing 3 months of chemotherapy at the infusion center and just prior to bone marrow transplant. It is lower, by far. Than anything I've seen in 5 years. And I even remember I met with the oncologist last week and she was so cute. She's like, well, it's lower than anything I've seen in 5 years. And I said, me too. and I just laughed because, you got to stay positive. You really have to. And some other things that came up, the rest of my numbers are doing well. For most of you who follow multiple myeloma. And recently we saw a post from another colleague whose wife was recently diagnosed with multiple myeloma. And my heart goes out to both of them. It is such a scary diagnosis, honestly. It is a terminal illness. It is as yet not curable. But the myeloma research, in 5 years' time, things are expired and out of date. The research is changing so fast and the treatments are changing so fast that, I think you used to get this diagnosis and they'd say, if you could make it to 5 years, like that's a gift. And now we saw other colleagues jump in saying, I'm a survivor by 15 years, and I just noticed how uplifting it was for me. That's kind of a creepy thing to say, right? But in a non-creepy way, I was just so blessed to know that there are people living with this disease and who have done well, who have gotten into remission, some of them long-term, some of them more than once. And it was heartwarming just to see how many people reached out, as did I, to say, listen, it feels so scary, but just know that there's more to this. You're going to learn to find the ins and outs. You're going to learn to look at your blood work every month and say, okay, wow, all right, I'm still very much immunocompromised, but wow, I've got more white blood cells. Wow. I know for me personally, I actually went running, trail running with the dog for the first time in a year since my transplant, and I didn't do the whole way, right? She had to stop and sniff, for which I was really happy and glad. But I noticed that I didn't feel like my lungs were going to completely, explode. So when I saw the test, I thought, oh, I have more red blood cells. Yeah! So it means that the marrow is more functional and that the new marrow is up to speed. And, these are just kind of how we live our lives, is following those numbers. And there are pros and cons, right? When you're following the numbers, it's like you're always waiting for the next lab test. And one of the great things that happened this time is that Dr. Costello, who's my oncologist, Caitlin Costello, she said to me, we're finally ready to go every 3 months, and I'll see you every 3 months, and you'll get your lab tests every 3 months. And I thought to myself, like, wow, you know what? I'm not waiting for life anymore. I'm not waiting to do anything for a lab test. Just not going to do it that way. And it was so freeing, to think like, nope, now I'm going to just live my life. I'm going to embrace my life. I'm not going to wait to see, how am I doing? Well, I know how I'm doing. I've had some symptoms over the last few days, like, that weren't fun. And then I went trail running and it was all good. So, if I can go trail running and it feels great, then, again, I was a better trail runner before I got multiple myeloma. But hey, I think that means that I'm doing well. And I don't need to see the numbers, every minute of the day to know when I'm not doing so great versus when I'm really loving life. So that's going to be my wisdom for today, is embrace life. No matter what's happening, there's no reason that you can't embrace your life. And some of my combat veterans say, and I don't know how they all grabbed it, but they like to say, sometimes you just got to embrace the suck. I'm going to put it that way. Well, you're right. Sometimes you got to embrace the suck. Sometimes you have to embrace the joy and the love and the glee that can be flittering around the suck. So that's my wisdom for the day. Stop waiting. Start doing. Start being. Start loving. Just start reaching your arms out and receiving whatever life has to offer you, even if you're embracing the suck. This is Wisdom Wednesdays. This is Dr. Sage Breslin, wherever you are. Hope you're having a great day or evening.